I manage when I handle hoes. I touch a camel toe and she gon' blow me like a candle until I'm revving my manifold. She dig my grandma but couldn't handle the...
Salutations, family. It's your player partner, Storm Hall, and I'd like to welcome you all back to Inside the Eye of the Storm. Before we get underway, family, with this episode, I would like to thank my suit sponsor for this episode of Inside the Eye of the Storm, Lapels. The main proprietor of Lapels, Tone, is one of my nearest and dearest friends. We've been friends for a multitude of years, and he and I are working it, and we're currently in talks to work on a collab with the Lapels brand and bringing you a custom line of suits and men haberdashery from the Storm Hall line. Hopefully the talks will go well, family, and we can bring you some of the finest male apparel that the world has ever seen. Lapels is a brand known for quality. It's a custom-made brand, so when you receive it, it's a one-on-one. You don't have to worry about anybody else jocking your style. And it's made with a proprietary blend of fabrics that keep you cool from the boardroom to the club to the brunch, even under the hot lights of Inside the Eye of the Storm. So, family, be on the lookout for the fine haberdashery that's coming forth from Lapels, and hopefully moving forward in the future, there will be a Storm Hall collab with the Lapels brand. But without any further ado, family, we're going to jump in to the subject matter for this episode of Inside the Eye of the Storm. And here recently, while scouring the internet, I came across a podcast starring Miss Princella, the Queen Maker, along with another young lady who calls herself Lilith. These two young women have gained prominence on social media here lately. Lilith more so over on TikTok and giving her advice from a feminine perspective to females, and Princella all over the internet because she became wildly popular, especially with her diatribe back and forth with Mr. Charleston White. These two people are really an odd couple, family, but they do have a lot of similarities, and I'm very interested into seeing how this discourse between the two of these young ladies goes back and forth. Of course, as we know, when Miss Princella first came out, she had a lot of derogatory things, and she was a big-time detractor of men, and she basically said that men and women weren't compatible. She said that men and women basically weren't compatible, and that really was strange to me. And she met a lot of pushback from men, but a lot of women seemed to agree with her. She had some books that was in the work, and she was a growing media personality. But what happened, she's done almost a complete about face, and now it seems she's being more derogatory towards women. I know somewhere on the internet I seen with her, she did engage in a relationship with another female, and she said, being viewed as the male in the relationship, she didn't like what she experienced as being viewed by her feminine paramour in the relationship as being a man. And she found out that being a man isn't all that is cracked up to be in a relationship dealing with a woman. But ever since then, she's done her about face, and she seems to be on a mission to somehow detract from women. And it's all very strange when you see this woman. I can't understand what she's doing. The only way I can describe her as a transformer. One day she's on the internet, she got a baseball cap on, backwards with her legs gap wide open like she wants to be a man. The next minute, like on this podcast we're about to observe, she has on a lace front and a face full of makeup. You have to be careful with personalities like this, family, and you have to really listen to what they say and try to break down and glean what's the ulterior motives that these people are undertaking when they come on social media and spread the messages that they spread. You have to look out for a lot of these people. There are a lot of grifters on the internet, folks. But we're going to jump into this episode right now, family, without further ado. I'm going to give my 2 cents as far as from a masculine perspective on the conversation and the discourse that's being had in between Princella the Queen Maker and Miss Lilith. Let's jump right in, family.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, they about to be back in chains. So,
I'm very happy to have this conversation, and I wanna get your perspective on what you see out here in terms of male and female relationship dynamics. What's your point of view on that? Who right? Who wrong? Who do the most BS? Just get into that for me.
Um, I think that's so layered, right? I think that women are still stuck with looking for things in others that others cannot give them, right? You say men are not capable of love. Men are not capable of a lot of things that women want.
Correct.
Right? And that's what women are looking for in men. Women have always been looking for things outside of them. And when they don't get it, men are the bad guy. Everyone's, at fault for them looking for things that other people cannot and should not be required to give them.
Correct. Now let me ask this. Why do you think that is?
And I just want to pause it right here to interject with this, family, and just to expose the duality between the 2 point of views of these young ladies, Miss Princella, the Queen Maker, and Miss Lilith, because there is a duality into what they're saying, even though they're in agreement in a lot of points they make. When you look at Miss Lilith speaks to a point that women expect a lot of stuff externally from others that they should actually be seeking internally, and I 100% agree with that. A woman's strength and energy comes from within when she identifies with her feminine strength and her feminine energy. Sometimes women now, they've been taught to go out here to be more masculine, and they see being masculine as being the more powerful of the two dynamics, when that's not the case. Femininity and masculinity work in harmony, and they work to balance one another. And a lot of women give away their power by not exhibiting their femininity or embracing their femininity. But when you look at Miss Princella, and when she interjects, you can see that she has a whole different energy to what she's purveying. Instead of her agreeing with Lilith wholeheartedly, she has a half-hearted agreement with Lilith, because what Miss Princella tries to convey with her message is not only are men not compatible with women, but almost like a woman can actually gain from being more masculine and actually take the place of a man, if that makes sense to you, and you can actually glean that from her. And it gives me a very unsettling feeling for Miss Princella, because it seems that she has a very sinister motive, and it seems like it could be very insidious. And you see a lot right now in the community, family, right now in the Black community, and I just don't know what to say about it. We're going to jump back in and see, can I really break this down even further, and see, can we glean more understanding from this discourse between these two young ladies. Let's jump back in.
Why are women looking for things in others instead of themselves? I think women just don't believe in themselves. I think that women think everyone else has the right answer. And so even when I tell women, I don't know what your answer is, it's almost like they get offended. It's like women want to be controlled. It's a wild thing to watch, right? They want to be told what to do and how to do it. And they don't want to be adults, almost. It's so weird. And I think that that's what women are looking for in men, first and foremost, because I'm sure you can agree with, women want to be told what to do by men.
Yes.
They want women to be peers.
And let me pause to interject right here again, family. When you look at Miss Lilith and what she states in this stanza right here, I think she's being very disingenuous and saying that women don't want to be adults and they want to be led by men. I think that a lot of time when you understand the natural order of things, I think a lot of women want to be led by men, because a lot of women want to live a more traditional lifestyle. Right now, with the proliferation of feminism and a lot of the new age ideologies that women are confronted with, I think a lot of women are uncomfortable with embracing these ideologies, and they actually want to return to a more traditional way of life. But I think society is actually negatively impacting a lot of women's train of thought, or what they should think about the way they want to live their lives or the way they want to govern themselves. I really think that Lilith and Miss Princella in this stanza is being disingenuous. I don't think that women don't want to be adults. I think women do shirk accountability a lot of times. But that's a thing that we can say about a lot of people, a lot of males right now. And I say males, not men, because there's a lot of adult males right now who are shirking accountability themselves. But let's jump back into this, and we're going to break it down even further, family.
Women actually want to be dominated. They want to be abused. They want to be dragged through the mud. And they'll say with their mouth that they don't, but everything in their actions and behaviors and their desires say otherwise.
And I cannot disagree with Miss Princella more. I don't believe women want to be abused. I don't believe they want to be dragged. And I don't believe they want to be dominated. I believe women want to feel protected. They want to feel secure. And I think women want to be under wise and vigilant leadership, under the leadership of men who are responsible stewards with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to lead them in a correct way. And that's basically what it all comes down to. I don't think that in a woman and she exhibiting her femininity and wanting to follow a man is weakness at all. A woman and a man are actually two parts of one whole. And when you understand the harmonious part of that and how masculinity and femininity balance each other out and how men work together like yin and yang, and you understand the principle of the universal law of polarity, then you understand how men and women are supposed to cohabitate and how they're supposed to coincide. But when you look at people like Princella, they believe in anarchy. They believe in turning traditional gender roles and traditional nuclear families. They believe in turning all that stuff upside down and just going for a free-for-all. They don't believe in order. And that's very prevalent. She's already stated previously that she doesn't date men. She actually dates women. So she's a lesbian. So we can already glean what we can glean from that statement, folks. Let's jump back into this and let's break it down even more.
A lot of women think I changed my message, and I didn't change my message. My message never changed.
Yeah.
Women came over here thinking that everything that I was teaching them about a man was to bash men and blame men. They didn't think that the information was to educate them on men so that they could make a different decision. My education was about telling you that men were incapable of doing what you want. My education is about they're incapable of love. They're incapable of, and then I backed it all up with science. Then I gave them 41 Shades of Men. After you get all that information, the onus of choosing better in life is now on you. But the women thought that my job was to try to bully men, to talk to men, to force them to change, to do what women want them to do. Because women want to act like they so high. They want to act like they so valuable, that their vagina is so powerful and that they need to be courted. But if you tell a bitch to close her legs, it's like you're killing her. See, you want to...
Whoa, and that right there, family, that is real profound. And I have to agree with Miss Princella in this aspect. When you look at females right now, I understand they went through a sexual liberation. I understand that there's a new proliferation of a liberal feminist mindset. And I think all of it's to the detriment of women. Like she said, you got a lot of women out here right now. And a lot of these women are suffering from sexual addiction. A lot of these women don't know how to practice sexual propriety and really govern over their sexuality to be more demure out here in society. When you look at them, they're going from relationship to relationship. There's no thought or no concern with sexual propriety or abstinence at all right now in society. You see women, they think that they can do everything that men can do as far as sexual wise, and that's not the case. Men and women are two very different vessels, family, and not only in a physical sense of the word, but in a spiritual sense of the word. Women, to me, and I'm not going to lie to you, I feel women actually occupy an elevated state over men when you're talking about spiritually, just because the woman serves as the gateway to be able to bring children onto this three-dimensional plane. So when you're dealing with a woman, you're talking about a very spiritual vessel. But when you see a lot of these women have dragged themselves through the mud. They've degraded themselves. And you see men talk about it on social media all the time. And of course, it's put in layman's terms as women with high body counts and hoes and stuff like that. And it's very vulgar, and it's hard to really have a genuine and earnest conversation when you're using all these colloquialisms that mask the true intent of what your words are saying. But when you look at it, this is actually what men are saying constantly. We're looking for women who want to return to a more, like, for lack of a better term, a more demure existence, so we can venerate these women and we can raise them up as shining examples of what we are looking for as feminine companions. Men have always seen women as their superior. That's why we've always venerated women, or we have held women to a higher standard than we even hold ourselves. And a lot of men, I don't think, even realize that, but we do. And the reason we do this, because we all come from a woman. The first love of a man's life is actually his mother, and his first teacher is his mother. So if unless a man has some kind of serious psychiatric or some kind of mental problem with his relationship with his mother, most men are enamored with women. We look to exalt women, we look to pedestalize women, and we look to venerate women. But at the current state that women are in, they're not allowing men to do that to them. They want to be equal to men, and really a woman seeing herself equal to a man, in my opinion, she's degrading herself. She's lowering herself both physically and spiritually by trying to be equal to a man. Men and women are equal, but we are not the same. A man is no more valuable than a woman. A woman is no more valuable than a man, but we are very, very different. But that's going to be all for me on this episode of Inside the Eye of the Storm, family. This whole discussion between these young ladies, this is a 3-hour-long discussion. So I'm going to make this part one of this segment of the breakdown of the conversation between Princella, the Queen Maker, and Miss Lilith. And I'm going to jump back into this, and I'm going to do a few parts of breaking this down, because like I said, it's a long conversation, and I don't want to draw these segments out. I want them to be brief so they can be digestible, and you can really go into the nuance of what I'm speaking as I'm breaking down this conversation and giving a little bit of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from a masculine perspective. But I want to thank y'all for joining me on this episode of Inside the Eye of the Storm, family. If y'all can y'all please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join me for every episode of Inside the Eye of the Storm. I'm just here. I'm trying to give a little bit of insight on a myriad of topics that we see on social media from a masculine perspective. And that's just all to it, folks. I'm going to break it down, and then we're going to get around. But that's going to be all for me on this episode, family. Thank y'all for joining me. Peace.